class is being broadcast live through the Insight Timer app and through my YouTube channel. So wherever you're watching this from, welcome. Welcome Joanna, Jane, MCB, Ganesha, Daniele, Norma, Wendy, Kim, and everyone else who is here. So mindful time management is part of a bigger framework, the bigger framework of my teaching, which is mindful self-discipline. And mindful self-discipline is an approach to self-discipline that is more digestible, that is easier to follow, that's more universal. Because self-discipline is composed of two elements, awareness and willpower. The common approach to self-discipline out there, it's all about willpower. It's that mental toughness, beat yourself up, force yourself to do the things you want to do, etc. I call that the military approach to self-discipline. It works for some people, but it's not for everybody, and it takes a lot of energy. It's not so sustainable. Then there is the mindful approach to self-discipline, which is what I teach. Awareness first, then willpower. That the more you cultivate awareness, the more you grow in awareness, the easier it will be for you to stay on track with your values and aspirations. That sometimes it's enough to just be aware of your values and aspirations, to be in that space of awareness, of witnessing, of knowingness, of presence, so that you naturally take action that is aligned with your goals. That happens then simply out of the power of awareness, without repression, without beating yourself up, without forcing yourself. And at times you will still need willpower, of course. It's an essential element of self-discipline, but it comes after. And when it comes after awareness, then willpower is easier. It's more aligned. It's more natural. It's something that you actually want to do. So that's what's different about this approach. Mindful self-discipline is based on three pillars: aspiration, awareness, and action. Aspiration is to know your purpose. Awareness is to remember your purpose. And action is to live your purpose, to make decisions day in and day out that support your purpose. Now, this is just the one-line summary of each pillar. In the book, we have 80 to 90 pages dedicated to each pillar. And here in this series, we have dedicated 4 classes of 1.5 hours to each pillar. Now, these classes are based on the book, other than the last 2 classes on the series, which is new content, but it's based on the book. If you don't have the book, you don't need to worry, because everything that you need to understand this class will be explained in the class itself. But if you want to go deeper, if you want to see the exercises, the examples, if you want to have the big picture of the whole framework, then you can get the book or the audiobook. And for those of you who have it, today we're covering chapter 33, the second half of chapter 33. Okay. So I am curious to hear from you how you would rate yourself in time management from 1 to 10. Where 1 is, I am not organized with my time, I don't plan my time, or I don't do it properly. I tend to be late for things. I waste a lot of time. I don't dedicate enough time to my aspirations. I don't know where my time is going, etc. That would be a 1. And then a 10 is, I am super organized and purposeful with my time. I plan my day every day and I execute on that plan to the best of my abilities. I am aware of where my time is going and I know how to kind of be in control of my time. I feel that I am dedicating enough time to my aspirations regularly and things seem to feel kind of under control. That would be a 10. So 6, 2.5, But when you're close to a deadline, then 9. Yes. I'm very good at my time, probably 7 plus, 5, 10. 5, depends on the subject, between 4 and 8. 6, 4, 1, 4, 6, 5. Okay. So, with the exception of a couple of outliers, the average here seems to be around a 6, 5 to 6. So my goal with this class, combined with the previous class, is to give you the inspiration, the tools and the concepts you need to take that 5 to a 6, that 6 to a 7, that 2 to a 3. At the very least. Ideally, going 2 steps up. So why is it important to learn how to manage our time? Because our life is our time. Our life is the sum total of all the moments in our life. And how you spend each moment is how you're spending your life. And if you're not spending each moment purposefully, if it's just going to whatever is easier, if you're in that reactive mode constantly, then that is the life you're living. It's going to be made of many moments like this. The activities that you're doing moment by moment, the thoughts that you're having in your mind, the emotions and states of mind that you're cultivating, all of this happening moment after moment is what makes your life. So knowing how to manage your time is knowing how to manage your life. Now, let me start with a quick summary of last week's class. And then we go to the new content for today. So last week we talked about time planning and time boundaries. These being the first 2 principles of mindful time management. And they're all an expression of the aspiration pillar in MSD. So time planning is the practice of planning how you want to spend your time. And there is the weekly planning, and then there's the daily planning. And some people also have a monthly planning, a quarterly planning, a yearly planning. It's up to you. The yearly planning is more like big picture, not like month by month, week by week. But the daily and weekly plan, these are essential. And we're going to talk a little bit about the daily plan today, recovering what we covered last week. And then toward the end of the series, when we talk about the COPE framework, you will learn more in detail the daily plan and the weekly plan. So in the daily plan, we have 3 points to cover, or 3 reflections. What are my priorities today? So deciding the what. How am I going to keep my priorities today? Deciding the how. And how can I smoothen my day? How can I make my day run smoother, go better? And if you're new to day planning, just focus on this first one. Don't get yourself overwhelmed trying to do everything at once. Once you build the habit of doing the day plan and covering this first one, then you can add the other ones little by little. So in deciding the what, we talked about making sure that you include aspiration-related tasks or activities. That every day as you're planning your day, think about when today am I going to take steps towards my aspirations? And see if you can include at least one activity for each of your aspirations. That would be the minimum. Then important tasks. What are the 3 most important things I want to do today? I may do more than those 3 things, but at the end of the day, if I have done those 3 things, I feel good. And if I haven't, I will feel like I'm falling behind. So what are these 3 things? And then, are there any stressful tasks? Any tasks that I've been postponing or avoiding? And if I do them, my well-being will increase. I will be removing stress from my life. So that is deciding the what. Now, I'm not going to go into greater details about the other 2, but just an overview that deciding the how is making sure that you think ahead of time how you will maintain your priorities. Deciding what you need to skip, reschedule, how you will face the challenges and respond to the challenges, and maybe using the time buckets or time blocking principle. And then smoothing the day is how can you do things or go about your day in a way that it goes smoother, that there is less friction. And I'm just going to review one of these now, which is to schedule breaks. Now there's some really good questions coming in. I will address them in a moment. But scheduling breaks. Scheduling breaks can be done in different ways. One way is that you actually put a schedule for a break in the middle of the morning or the afternoon or at the end of work, and you respect that. You don't fill that with other activities. You are scheduling a break. Another way of scheduling breaks is that you are more generous with yourself about the time that you allocate for different tasks. If a task may take 45 minutes, you allocate an hour, because it's quite common that it would take longer than what you have planned, and then you have that buffer. And if it takes that amount or less, then you have downtime. You have downtime that you can go and do something else, and that feels good, rather than feeling you're always falling behind. And another way is that however busy your day is, there are many moments of downtime. It's already happening. You already have them. But you are likely filling them with information, entertainment, and tasks and things that are not that valuable. That if you have 30 seconds of downtime, you reach for your pocket, you get your phone, you open an app, and you scroll through something. That if the elevator takes a little bit longer to come, you're going to pick up your phone. If something that you're doing online takes a little bit to load, you might go and pick up your phone, right? So what we're doing is all of these little opportunities for downtime, we are filling them with information. We are making our head spin. We're going for another CPU cycle in our brain, so to speak, instead of allowing it to be. You don't need to fill every minute of your time. It is better to have several moments of downtime during the day, several minutes here and there of downtime, because that is when you are beginning to absorb and integrate, consolidate all the information that you have been exposed to during the day. And we are exposed to more information now than ever before, which means that these moments of downtime, of self-reflection, of not doing anything with our minds, is more important than ever. And yet we don't do it. So that's why I am re-emphasizing this point that we talked about last week. And if you're not giving yourself the downtime, it means that you're not learning, because you're not reflecting, you're not contemplating. You're consuming a lot of information, which is other people's learnings, but they're not becoming yours. You're not turning that information into knowledge. And you're not turning your knowledge into wisdom, because wisdom, according to Aristotle, is experience plus reflection. And you're missing the reflection bit. So make sure when you're planning your day, your week, your life, that you include downtime. And this downtime is not only meditation, it's different from meditation. If meditation is the only downtime you have, then the moment you sit and you want to meditate, your mind will feel like, great, now there are 17 things that I need to do in this moment, that I need to think about, figure out, review, and there's nothing that is required of me right now, so let me go and do it. And so you are sitting with your eyes closed and your legs crossed, but you're not meditating. You're just thinking. So downtime is important, even for the improvement of your meditation practice, the deepening of your meditation practice. So that is time planning. Then we talked about time boundaries. Time boundaries is mastering the art of saying no. Learning how to feel comfortable saying no to other people's requests for your time, for your attention, for your energy, for your life. When they are not aligned with your values, with your goals. That when you want to say no, you know how to say no. You don't say yes because it's difficult to say no. So that is time boundaries. Now, today we're going to start talking about time awareness. And time awareness is also a way to protect your time. Time boundaries is protecting your time from other people by saying no more liberally. Time awareness is about protecting your time against yourself, against forgetfulness and distractions. And we're going to get into that in a moment. Let me now have a look at the comments and see what's going on. I have a flight this evening. I need to go to the airport in 4 hours. I haven't started packing yet. Anna, leave this live and go pack. That's what I would do. I have it pretty easy with me, no kids and no work responsibility, so easy to be a 7. I don't think when I had those in my life, I would have been that easy. So the more that is going on in your life, the more important these skills are and the more difficult they are. If you're just managing a couple of things in your life, you can get away with some very rudimentary, very basic time management skills. But if you're managing 5, 7, 10 different things, or if you want to really make the best use of every hour, then you need to learn these skills. I hate planning. It gives me anxiety. Now, that's interesting. For some people, planning removes anxiety. So I would be keen to hear more. What about planning gives you anxiety? Is it feeling that I may not finish everything that I'm putting into my day? Is it the fact that for planning you need to go through a to-do list that is already bloated with a lot of unfinished tasks? When we take care of our finances, we are not anxious to look at the bank account. We are happy. Maybe it gives us a sense of relief. Okay, everything is good. When we haven't taken care of our finances for a while, then we rather not look. We are anxious about looking at our finances. But unless we overcome that anxiety and develop that skill, things are not going to improve. Okay, let me see if there's anything else. This point about downtime has been so valuable for me. I don't listen to podcasts or touch my phone when I'm enjoying a walk outside. My energy doesn't feel as zapped. Very nice. When I usually travel overseas, I pack 2 weeks ahead. The way I do is I'll make a list a week ahead. So if there's anything that I need to get, I still have time. And I will do the packing probably the day before, 1 or 2 days before. And that is like 80% of the packing, because there's like the last 20% has to be that day, the final day. But I'll have a list for that 20% that is left. And if I don't have a list, I might forget something. So I rely on lists. Once when I didn't have a list, I realized midway going to the airport, I didn't have my passport. Luckily, everything worked fine. I didn't miss the flight. But that just reinforces the need to be organized and have a list. My problem is that I have already told myself several times today that the most important thing is to pack. Instead, I have been to the kids' school pharmacy. Yes. Well, if I were you, I would go and pack now and then go to the airport. You must live really close to the airport, or maybe something inside of you wishes to miss this flight. I don't know. Interesting. We would need to dig deeper to see what's happening. Huge supporter of lists, yes. So a list is basically saving time, saving decision fatigue. That I think about something once, and from that point onward, I don't need to think it again. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I know the type of things that I'm always going to need when I travel, and then I go off that list. And I may still need to bring one or other new thing, but that list is the core, and I don't need to rethink it. There's this quote from Menachem Mendel Schneerson that the key to time management is to see the value of every moment. To see the value of every moment. When you see the value of every moment, then you want to make the best use of every moment. You don't want a moment to be hijacked by something that is not important. That's the idea. So, let's talk about time awareness. Time awareness, as the name indicates, is to be aware of time, to pay attention to time. We cannot manage what we are not aware of, what we are not paying attention to. What's that saying in business? You cannot manage what you don't measure. Similar idea. That if you're not aware of where your money is going, you're probably overspending and you may end up in debt. If you're not aware of where your time is going, your time is probably not being spent in the best way. And you can also end up in debt. Time debt. What is time debt? Time debt is when you have more urgent tasks to do than you can do. When so many things have gone late in your life and there is no way to fix it. When you want to achieve certain goals, but a lot of time has gone already. You may not have enough time. You may not have enough time to go as deep in a topic, in a skill, in an experience, in a practice as you can, because you didn't use the time when you had it. Now, it's never too late in a way, but that is the idea of time debt. That when you procrastinate on something, you leave it for later, you leave it for tomorrow, you are burdening your future self. And for example, now, Anna, you have a choice. You can do what is going to be best for your future self, which is to quickly pack and go, or you can continue to postpone and put your future self in trouble. And every minute that you postpone, you are creating stress for your future self. And your future self is not going to like it. And we are the future self. We are the future self of yesterday, of a month before, a year before, a decade before. So self-discipline is about living life in a way that your future self will thank you for. Your future self will be proud of you, rather than regret your actions and be resentful. It's self-discipline is linking the future with the present and living in the present in a way that is in harmony with the future you want to have. Imagine that you have scheduled that you can take a 15 minutes break between one task and another in your life or at work. And you say like, okay, I'm going to check my phone and go through some of the missing messages and then check a little bit of social media. And then when you notice half an hour has passed, it's because during that half an hour you are not aware of time. If you were aware of time, you would check time every once in a while. Oh, 10 minutes have already passed. I only have 5 more. And then you look again. Okay, 16 minutes have passed. All right, finish. Let me go back to my schedule and do the next thing. So when you are aware of time, you can follow a schedule. When you are not aware of time, You cannot follow your schedule. You can have the best schedule in the world, the perfect morning routine, but if you're not aware of time, you cannot follow it. So to be aware of time needs to check the time. Not constantly, meaning every minute, that can become obsessive and anxiety producing. But every 15 minutes, go and have a look what time it is. Am I still on track? Do I need to finish things up so I move on to the next task? Otherwise, there will be a domino effect that everything gets late and things doesn't get done. And at the end of the day, I'm not satisfied. So being aware of time means that you check the time every once in a while. If you make a schedule for your day, a plan for your day, and you only check the time 3 times during this day, you don't have enough checkpoints to make sure you are on track and to course correct. But if you're checking the time not 3 times per day, but 3 times per hour, then you are much more aware of where your time is going. It's the same thing with meditation. If you meditate for 20 minutes and you double check where is my mind 5 times during these 20 minutes, you can have 4-minute long distractions before it's the next checkpoint and then you come back. But if you check instead of 5 times per session, 5 times per minute, then your distractions will be maximum 12 seconds long. So adding more checkpoints of awareness about time in your meditation. And it's the same thing with maintaining awareness of your goals and values. If you think of your goals once a month, you're probably not taking action or enough action towards them. If you think about them every day, then you have 30 times more checkpoints with your goals and aspirations. And that's part of the daily disciplines of mindful self-discipline, that we start the day with a day plan. And when we plan the day, we check what are my aspirations and what am I going to do about them today. And at the end of the day, we do the 3-question journal. And there's a journaling tool in the Mindful Self-Discipline app that you can use. The 3-question journal, which is all about how have I lived or not lived my aspiration today. So at the very least, you have these 2 checkpoints for your aspirations and values every day. And then if you're really practicing mindful self-discipline in a deeper way, in an intensive way, you're going to be doing the pause method at least 3 times a day, where you're pausing, becoming aware of your aspirations. Am I going +1 or -1 now? And then using your willpower when needed to realign, to take the action that is going to be a +1. So then you already have 5 checkpoints. You are returning again and again to what matters. And therefore, that is going to be a bigger part of your life. Is this concept of having multiple checkpoints of awareness resonating with you? I can definitely improve on my time awareness. I'm in serious time debt, constantly behind. I love thinking about the future self as a version of myself that I should be mindful to respect and love. Respect and love. Because in a way, self-discipline is self-love. It's you living life in a way that is going to be best for yourself. So question from Peace: when we are in a serious time debt, how can we get control over our lives? It's the same thing that if you are in serious financial debt, there's no way you can fix it in a week. It's going to be a process. You start by focusing on the most urgent things and by improving the way you deal with time so that at least it's not going to pile up from now. And some things you may just need to declare bankruptcy. Like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I just can't. Maybe 6 months from now, I will revisit this idea, but this cluster of tasks here, I'm just not going to do. I'm not going to fix my kitchen now. And I know it's going to be a little bit painful for the next 6 months, but there are just so many other things that are urgent and I need to take care of before. So you need to start making then decisions like this. And at the same time, learning a system that will allow you to not let them pile up. And then over time, you get the chance to work on everything that matters. Healthiest thing I've ever done, deleting all social media except Insight Timer. Wonderful. I haven't had social media apps on my phone for a very long time. So even for posting on Instagram and TikTok, I don't have them. Someone that works with me in my team, she has it on her phone and she'll post for me because I do not want to have those things on my phone. Let me see if there's any other question that I missed. Paul has helped me so much. Wonderful. It resonates. It's been 8 weeks for me and I'm so happy I quit Instagram. Wow, congratulations. My husband and I just yesterday made a plan for micro check-ins during the week to be more aware of our finances, spending. Yes. And the interesting thing is that once this becomes habitual, then you don't need to do it as much. So, for example, I used to check my finances once a week, every Friday or every Saturday. Now I do it once a month, and that's enough because I have built that awareness. Anything else? What about the flow if we are checking time and time again? So, time awareness is something that protects your flow, but I understand your question. So, if the flow is, let's say, writing or reading or doing any particular work that you want to go into the flow, I would put a countdown timer for the amount of time you can give yourself to that activity and then forget about time and let the countdown timer be your time awareness. And if you think about it, that's what we do with meditation. You know, if you don't have a timer, you may go into the zone and stay there for a long time and then get late for work or forget to take your kids to school, which is not a good idea. So what do? We set up a timer. We set up a timer and then we forget about time. While the beginner meditators all the time checking. Then we forget about time. We go into the zone and the thing will remind us. Right? So there are these two things. You can either use countdown timers for everything, or some things you would use a countdown timer and other things you would just be in the habit of watching your time. Yeah, so I was thinking I might have to declare bankruptcy on X, Y, and Z. The first time that I heard this expression used in this way was by a coaching client of mine. And he said, like, I have just declared bankruptcy in a to-do list. I said, okay, it's a good way to reset, but will that work for you for the rest of your life? You probably will need a to-do list of sorts. So it's about learning the skill to not allow the thing to get in an overwhelming state in the first place. That is the permanent solution. So Joanna asks, Giovanni, do you use a finance app or do you have a tip to track your spendings and have finances under control? So I use a finance app, yes. I use Money by Jumpsoft. It's an app for the Mac and the iPhone. I bought it a very long time ago, but I haven't done extensive research to tell you that this is the best. This is what I've been using for maybe 15, at least 12 years. And it works. So when I do my finances, I will go and check all my accounts and put the things with the correct labels and categories in my finance app. And anything that I spend with money, I keep a list somewhere else, and then I put it, because those things won't go into the system. So I need to put it manually. I have a question about habit stacking. So what is habit stacking? Is when you do one habit after another. For example, in the morning routine, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you do the meditation, you do physical exercise, then you read, and then you start your work, without any gap in between the habits. So one habit becomes the cue for the other habit. I know it's popular and supposedly saves time, but my instinct is that it's overstimulating, maybe a symptom of hustle culture. Definitely a big energy zapper for me. What are your thoughts on habit stacking? It shouldn't be your whole day, habit stacking, because habit stacking means that there is no gap in between the activities. So for the morning routine, I love the idea of habit stacking, because if we don't do that, for most people, it means that they are not going to do everything they wanted to do in their morning routine. Or between one task and another, you open your phone or you start daydreaming, and then an indefinite amount of time may go and you won't have time for everything. So for the morning routine, I think it's essential. It's one of the things that we're going to talk about next week. But should you do this for your whole day? No. That will feel stressful. The hustle culture, as you say it. Did you say you have an app? Yes. Mindful Self-Discipline. It's you can learn about it on the website, mindfulselfdiscipline.com/app. So not back to, because we are talking about time awareness. How many times have you not told yourself that I would just quickly check my email and then I'll get back to writing? Or I'll snooze just this one time. I'll take a break for 10 minutes and get back to my work, and then it passes 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I will just check Instagram for 2 minutes and then I'll get back on track. This is the monkey mind. It's the monkey mind. And if we are not aware of our time, each of these thoughts is the door to a time-wasting event, so to speak. I'll just watch one episode, and 3 episodes in, you're still there, skipping your sleep time, which means that your morning routine tomorrow morning is not going to happen, or you're going to be sleepy, or it's going to be done half, etc. So you cannot follow your schedule if you forget your schedule. Mindful time management includes constant time awareness, because apparently trivial decisions actually mean much bigger time commitments than we would otherwise realize. Time awareness is a way to respect your commitments to yourself and to other people. And it honors the fact that you cannot keep borrowing time against your future self endlessly with impunity. One day you will regret and have to pay back the time debt. So, in practical terms, how do we implement time awareness? Either we use countdown timers or alarms, or we check the time more often. Make your watch your best friend. It will always tell you the truth. It will always be a moment of awareness that will then allow you to rethink how you're spending this moment and what you need to do next. And if you have separated your days in time blocks, time awareness means that you know which time block I'm in. Okay, I'm in the time block of reading. And how much time is left? Oh, I only have 10 more minutes. So I already have that in mind. And what's next? Well, I need to start working. So you have that awareness. You don't just get lost. That's what happens with people with ADHD. And the more intense is the ADHD, the more you get lost. You lose your bearings, you lose your context. And that's why it's very hard for you to manage your time and your attention. So having these multiple checkpoints is even more important for those with ADHD. Now, optionally, you may also consider time tracking. And time tracking can be a little bit tedious, can take a little bit of time until you get into the habit. But the idea is to use an app such as a time logger. I've used that for a very long time. That whenever you start activity, you track what that activity is about, and then you press stop when you're done. And if you do this, you don't need to do this forever, but if you do it for a month, or even for a week, but ideally a month, you will have awareness of where your time is going. You will have awareness on what's going on with your days and your weeks, how you're spending your life, more than you had before. And with this awareness, you can take action. You can see, you know what, if the next 11 months is going to be like this month, then by the end of the year, I'm not going to have done what I wanted to do. I will not have achieved some important goals for me. Seeing this, having this awareness is important because then you can take action. You know what activities are taking too much time and which ones are not. With one of my coaching clients, he got to the time awareness that he was spending 2 hours a day on Facebook. And he was a freelancer. So I said, how much do you charge per hour? He said, $150. I said, how do you feel about sending $300 every day to Mark Zuckerberg? And he was shocked. It's the reality, it's in front of our eyes, under our nose. But sometimes we need to connect the dots so that we see it. What was the name of the time tracker app? A time logger, that's it. There is a page on my website where I have a list of recommended tools for task management, time logging, for blocking distractions, etc. So it's in the footer of the website. You can find it there. And by the way, these classes are made possible by donation of appreciative listeners. So if you're appreciating this class, if you find it inspiring, insightful, helpful in any way, consider leaving a donation to support my work. And thank you for those of you who have already donated. Cassiopeia, and that's as far back as I can scroll. Now, there are other ways that you can support my work. You can get copies of the book for your friends and family. And for all of you who are members of my Mindful Self-Discipline app, thank you for your ongoing support. So that's what I had to share about time awareness, which then takes us to the last principle, the principle of time focus. Thank you, peace. Time focus. Tony Robbins says, where focus goes, energy flows. And here's a quote from Bruce Lee. The successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. So focus is what allows us to multiply the results we get in our life. That is one thing to build habits. Everyone talks about building habits as if it's a panacea to everything, and you don't need willpower, you don't need awareness, you don't need self-discipline. You just need to apply some tricks and build habits. No. Building habits is very important, but it's a part of self-discipline, not the whole of it. Building habits helps you show up to the activity. And they say showing up is half of the success. What about the other half? Awareness and willpower. How you show up. among other things. Get two people, then they're both showing up for an hour of exercise at the gym every day. But one person is doing that. He is showing up. He's going through the motions. He's sticking all of the exercises in the plan. But he's doing the exercises with his body, and his mind is somewhere else. His mind is listening to a podcast, or thinking about his problems, worried about what's going to happen, reviewing some drama. And the other one is showing up for the same class, giving the same amount of time, going through the same exercises, but he's doing them wholeheartedly. When he's lifting the weight, he's lifting with his body, his mind, his emotion, his intention. Which one's going to get better results? If you generate X amount of strength in this way, in the second way, you generate much more, maybe 2x, maybe 3x over time. You are engaging more of yourself, of your muscle fibers in this case. And it's the same thing with everything. You can show up for family time and be there for 2 hours, or you can spend half an hour of fully present, fully grounded, fully connected, quality time with your family. And that's going to count much more. You can sit an hour for meditation every day. And this is the example that you're sitting and thinking with your eyes closed. Or you can do it for 15 minutes, but meditating as if your head is on fire, with full focus and intention and presence, breath after breath. And that's going to count more. So the first three principles, time planning, time boundaries, and time awareness, allows us to protect our time, to put our time where we want it to be, and to show up for the tasks and activities that we have planned. But this fourth principle, time focus, is what multiplies the result. It's about living mindfully, you can say. It's about making it count, that every activity that you're doing counts. If I'm here running this class, but my mind or my heart is elsewhere, you would feel the difference. It will have less of an impact. Most of you would have left already. So make it count. Anything that you're doing in your life that is important, make it count. Be 100% there. And then you'll be able to get into a state of flow much more easily and stay in a state of flow longer. Now, you can't expect to just go from your current state to fully focused and wholehearted on everything like this. It doesn't happen like that. It's a training. But what I suggest is that you think of 2 activities, 1 or 2 activities that you want to practice this focus, this wholehearted presence in. And then if after some weeks you are really fully present in those activities, then if you did it with those 2 things, you can do with more things. So I am curious to hear from you. What is 1 or 2 activities that you want to practice this wholehearted focus on, starting from today? Let me know your answers in the comments. Because when you are wholeheartedly focused and present, you will feel more alive. There will be a different quality to your activity, to your learning, to your skill, to your work. And this quality is hard to imitate because people are each time more distracted. We are training ourselves to be distracted. My writing, meditation, and decluttering? Do you mean over and above the things we already do? No, without changing anything about your schedule. You're going over and above in your intention to be present, not about adding new activities. Yoga. Mm-hmm. Reading and meditating. Meditation and practicing harmonium. Nice. I've had the idea, the intention of learning the harmonium for a long time. I haven't prioritized it yet, but one day I might learn. Meditation and reading and Qigong. Reading. Okay. My workouts, my meditation practice. Mm-hmm. Listening wholeheartedly when other people are speaking. Yes. Being consistent at my work, my study in trading and meditation, appointments. Yes. Thank you. So, what are the enemies of focus, of this wholeheartedness that we're talking about? It's distraction. And distraction happens. No, there's distraction, there's also multitasking. When you're multitasking, you are switching between tasks very quickly. So you're not allowing your attention to stay with one task for long enough for you to go into the groove and become faster and smarter about it. So multitasking, when it comes to cognitive tasks, is deeply inefficient. But then the bigger problem is distractions. Because, and especially with the mindless use of the internet and our devices, technically you could spend an hour just on Instagram or TikTok or your whatever app of this genre, and you're doing nothing else but that thing. You're not multitasking. But the very nature of that activity is like multitasking. It's not exactly multitasking, but it has the same effect, if not worse. Because your attention is never staying with any one thing for more than a few seconds. It goes from one to another. We naturally pay attention to the things that are interesting, the things that we enjoy. But what happens if we are constantly exposed and engaging and consuming food, entertainment, information that is highly stimulating? We are basically training ourselves to only pay attention when it is highly stimulating. We are training ourselves into distraction. We're making it harder for us to get into the state of flow. And what we know in science these days is that the state of flow is where we experience fulfillment, self-actualization, happiness even though it's a state of effort, not a state of comfort. That's what we know. Research in positive psychology. So if we're only going for things that are highly stimulating, the shiny objects of attention, then we can only pay attention when they're shiny objects. And when they're gone, there's this restlessness, this anxiety in us that we're always waiting or seeking that new spike of dopamine, that instant gratification that justifies us still paying attention. And if it doesn't come in 15 seconds, we are gone. This is how the services we are using, the apps we're using, the way we are using the internet and our devices, that's how we are training our mind. And that's why it's becoming harder and harder to focus, to develop willpower, to live a self-disciplined life. And that's why I'm fully focused on this as a meditation teacher, as the antidote. I'm part of the resistance. And you are too. If you're here, if this is resonating, if you are taking action based on this, then you are too. I truly believe that emails, SMS, and Instagram damaged my focus, making me easily distracted. I'm now trying to reverse that effect to hopefully restore my focus. Absolutely, Saffron. If you can, for a period of time in your life, reject all of these sources of instant gratification and quick, high stimulation. Reduce stimulation down to zero, or as close to zero as possible, for a month in your life. And embrace boredom. And you will see how much your attention is replenished. Your mind gets cleaned up. Your energy comes back. Your motivation comes back. Your ability to focus and to embrace difficult tasks comes back. Our brain is plastic. It can't go back. However deep we are in that groove, we can retrain ourselves. And for that, it's not enough to just do meditation for 20 minutes every day. And I'm not saying that instead you should do 2 hours of meditation every day. Because even if you do 2 hours of meditation every day, but you spend 16 hours working in a way, thinking in a way, engaging with content in a way that is training distraction, how can focus win? 2 hours a day training focus, 16 hours a day training distractions. And so if you are serious about meditation, spiritual growth, self-transformation, self-discipline, it's not only about what you do during those time slots, it's about how you live the rest of your day. Thank you, Marcia, for your donation. Also Saffron and Serenity. Let me see if there are any questions I might have missed. Could you repeat the point about effort and happiness in positive psychology? So, positive psychology, especially the work of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, I can pronounce this correctly now, but I cannot spell it still. He's considered one of the fathers of positive psychology. He did a lot of work in flow and then followed by other authors after him, other researchers. And what we know is that when we are in a state of flow, even though it's a state of almost maximum effort, it's a state of fulfillment. That we feel we are using our strengths fully in the pursuit of something meaningful for us. So if you want to experience more happiness in your life, you need to increase the state of flow. And self-discipline is here to help you achieve a state of flow. But when you know your aspirations and your goals, it's more likely that you'll achieve a state of flow because they will happen around those things. And self-discipline protects your flow. It trains your mind to be focused and present, to have structure in your day for that flow. Past few days I was feeling so drained and the only change was more Instagram. I hopped there for my work. It's interesting how this affects us, no? Yes, this session is happening on YouTube and it will stay on YouTube for at least 24 hours. In some cases, I leave it for longer. This one, I feel in the flow, so I will probably leave it for longer. Embrace boredom, yes. Thank you. Peace. Now, the key concept here is that we want to design a life that has fewer triggers for distraction. When you delete the social media apps from your phone and you turn off all the non-essential notifications, you are already removing a lot of triggers for distraction. When your bedroom, your home, your office is organized and decluttered, there are fewer triggers for distractions. When you apply the COPE framework, which we'll learn at the end of this series, and then the desktop of your computer, your email inbox, everything is decluttered and minimalistic, this all makes it easier for you to focus because there are fewer triggers of distraction. So that is one thing, to organize and set up your life and your time so that there are fewer triggers for distraction. That is about the environment. And the other thing is knowing how to focus. That's a skill of the mind that we train through meditation. Focus is holding on to one thing and rejecting everything else for a certain period of time. In meditation, it might be that you're holding on to your breath, or to a mantra, or to a sensation in a particular space in the body, and you're holding on to that thing and you're saying no to everything else. And you're allowing that thing to expand and fill your whole awareness. When you are working, you are saying yes to, and you're holding on to, the thought process you need to figure out what you're doing at work, and no to everything else. And in all these activities and throughout our days, distractions will come up as an invitation. Look, there is a shiny object here. It's going to be quick. It's going to be easy. It's going to be pleasant. Pay attention to me. Hello. That's distraction. And whenever that happens, you have a choice. You have a choice to engage with that distraction, and then you're becoming better at getting distracted. Or you have a choice to refuse it and remain focused. And then you're getting better at being focused. The +1 and the -1. That you may be doing some deep work on something that requires a lot of attention, a lot of energy, and a lot of cognitive power. And then your phone dings with the notification of a new email. Will you take a quick peek, or will you remain focused? Did you get a phone call from a family member? Will you take it for a quick chat, or will you remain focused? An ad pops up in your favorite search engine about the new effortless way to achieve your goal for only $1. Or the, oh my God, you will not believe the shortcut I found to X, Y, and Z. All of this clickbait nonsense. Will you click, or will you remain focused? An interesting idea pops up in your mind about something completely unrelated to what you're doing right now. Will you stop and take care of that, or will you remain focused? You can take note, take 10 seconds to take note of that thing in one line and leave it for later, but remain focused. You suddenly remember that you have a delicious snack in the fridge. Will you walk to the kitchen for a snack, or will you remain focused? You always have the choice to remain focused, but you're not always making that choice. It all starts with awareness. Awareness that it's within my power to every day train myself in focus, or every day train myself in distraction. The awareness that this choice repeatedly compounds and will lead to a different version of myself. Which one will I like more? Which one will be healthier, happier? That these choices compound to different possibilities for my future life. And one of them is much better than the other. Awareness, awareness, awareness. And then you practice willpower. You make a strong intention to stay with the things that you're doing and to say no to distractions. That is how we train the ability to focus. And we do this whenever you're doing a concentration type of meditation as well. Is this making sense? Thank you. Peace. I work from home 2 days a week. I have begun to leave my phone in another room. Yes, that's a great idea. And how does that impact you? How does that change the way you work? Please let us know. It's like you're in my business. Stay focused and say no to distractions. What are the concentration types of meditation? So in chapter 39 or 38 of the book, when I'm talking about meditation, I talk about 4 different styles of meditation, and then each of them has so many different techniques. But in the concentration style of meditation is any meditation where the main goal is to remain focused on one thing, moment after moment. And that one thing could be your breath, it could be a mantra, it could be a part of the body like the chakras, it could be a feeling such as the loving kindness meditation. I have a meditation course here on Insight Timer, and it's also part of the MSD app, in which I guide you through 10 different styles of meditation. And in that course, most of those styles are all concentration meditation. And there's a style called blissfulness. So then the object of meditation, in that case of concentration, is the feeling of bliss itself. And then you are in heaven when you can do it, when you can do that practice properly. And if you do that every day, you don't need to seek happiness outside of you because you found the source within. Question: how can we do tasks like emails for work that are necessary without getting overwhelmed? I avoid it so much that it becomes overwhelming. What I would recommend is to have 1 or 2 set times of the day that you do admin work, including email, that you do all of these things that are multiple little separate tasks, and that you just touch them during those 2 times of the day. But during those 2 times of the day, you are going through them one after another, not picking and choosing. Go through one after another. And if something is just to be deleted and ignored, fine. But if it needs to be done, don't skip to the next. Do it or process it, add it to your to-do list, and then continue. This idea of the inbox zero is something that I work with all of my clients, basically. Not all, but most of them that we work for long enough, we get to that point. But there was one person from that came through Insight Timer that she had 250,000 emails in her inbox. And now she is constantly back to 0. So it is possible. That's beautiful to hear, Rachel. I'm glad this is connecting for you on a deep level. Can you describe the time buckets for tasks? So we're going to have a class focused on this later on. For now, what you could do is to just create a time in your calendar, admin work, put it however long you need, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. And that is the time that you open your inbox and you go through the whole thing and you get as much done as possible. Now, the final concept I will cover before we wrap up is the idea of power hours, what I call power hours in the book. And in an ideal world, we would schedule our distraction time and everything else would be focus. But that's too tough for most people. We can build up to that point. We cannot start from that point. So the way we start is to schedule focus time, to create structure in your day for focus and wholeheartedness. And one way is your morning routine. Your morning routine, the way I recommend in the book, is to have it offline. You put your phone in airplane mode when you go to bed. You wake up with your phone in airplane mode. There's nothing new there to look. No notifications. No new information. You're offline. You go through your whole morning routine, and at the end of the morning routine, you can turn on your phone. You can make your phone go online. So that becomes a big time bucket of focus. And then to include in your day 1 or 2 power hours. And a power hour is a time in your day that you are fully focused on your most difficult or most valuable task. And your phone may be in do not disturb mode. Your notifications in your computer are turned off. No one is going to interrupt you. You're just doing that one thing without multitasking. That is a power hour. It's also something that I recommend for most people that I work with. And there was one lady that I worked with several years ago. As she was working from home but not getting much done. And I taught her the concept of power hours. We integrated one, and she said, no, this is so good, I want 3. So she does 3 power hours a day. I've never worked with anyone else who does 3 power hours a day, but she did it, and she said, those 3 hours, my day is done. I just do those 3 hours properly, and I am so much more productive than a full day of my past version. So the idea is that you know, some people use a Pomodoro timer to say for 20 minutes, I will fully focus. For 5 minutes, I'll have a break, and then I'll go for another 20 minutes and go like this. And that's a good way to start. I am optimistic and idealistic. I think we can do much more than 20 minutes. So you could aim for example, for 40 minutes of deep, uninterrupted focus, and then 20 minutes of other things, or a full hour. But the whole point is, regardless of how long this is, during this time, you're doing focused work. No distractions, no multitasking, no breaks, no exceptions. And that's the only way it's going to work. And this is something that you would schedule in your calendar, ideally, or have an alarm on your phone reminding you to do it. So with this, we finish the topic of mindful time management. We talked about time planning your day and your week. We talked about creating boundaries around your time by mastering the art of saying no to things that are not aligned. Today we talked about time awareness, using countdown timers, developing the habit of checking your time often, and for a period of time using time tracking apps. And then time focus, by creating structures for focus in your day, such as the morning routine and the power hours, by removing multitasking as much as possible, by learning to master the skill of focus, which is something that we train through meditation, but we need to apply in our daily life. And that means being aware that you always have the option to stay focused. And you do that by holding on tight to the thing that you're doing and saying no to all other distractions. So if you have any other questions, now is the time. Otherwise, we will wrap it up. And let me see if I missed anything. Okay, there are a few questions, yes. That Paul message really hit home with me a couple of days ago, and now I totally understand. Awesome. What made the biggest difference in your decision to dedicate your life to this life work? I'm so curious. This is an expression of my strengths and my values. So it's extremely aligned for me. I am in my element. And I can see the impact that this has for other people. And it has an impact on me too. Yes, I've already developed the skills of self-discipline, focus, and self-confidence to a high degree, but there's always room for improvement. And if every week I am thinking about this, reading, researching, writing, coaching, running these classes, then it becomes stronger and stronger. I have heard from many people that they come to these live classes week after week, and sometimes season after season is the same class. I improve little by little, but the core of it is the same. And why do we come back? Because we need reminders. We need to keep hearing the same message again and again, because the world is telling us the opposite message again and again. The opposite message of distraction, of dissipation, of self-doubt has become the norm. So if we want this message that is more helpful, truer, more beneficial, to be stronger, we need to come back to it again and again. And that's the concept of the checkpoints. We need more checkpoints, more reminders. So that's why I run these classes every week. This is the only place where I do these public, free, deep dives into the framework. And in between these sessions, if you want to stay in touch, you can subscribe to my newsletter. Then you receive a new article every week. I publish them on Mondays. The article of this week is already published. And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, where every day I will post a 1-minute video discussing a concept, a practice from Mindful Self-Discipline and all the related topics. So these ways also you can have more of these checkpoints. And in the newsletter, you will receive a quote a day from the book. For 365 days, for a full year, you'll receive a quote per day. Again, another checkpoint. Okay, let me scroll up and see the other questions. My office culture assumes I am immediately reacting to emails, or it's a sign I'm not working. Yeah, a lot of this problem is the wrong work culture. That makes it harder to change. Especially if we're working from home, people try to judge about how productive we are to see how quickly we answer to things. Some workplaces are a little bit more conscious and enlightened about this. Others will get there over time, but meanwhile they're losing money, literally. Yes, Ocean of Bliss, that's the name of the meditation. $100 emails a day. Yeah, I used to receive a lot of emails. I unsubscribe to a lot of things. I am part of maybe a handful of really good newsletters that I actually read whenever they come, and I've unsubscribed to everything else. Yeah, what else? MCB, when I use the timer, I'm often annoyed by the timer break and I want to continue working. I know, I often feel the same. But that's the point where you remind yourself that if you don't observe the timer, the rest of your day is going to suffer. And so what you can do is just spend a couple of minutes to wrap up what you're doing and then move on to the next thing. Were you always this good? Well, I had some, self-discipline is composed of many different skills. Some of these skills came natural for me, like the skill of self-control. Somehow I had it. For those of you who believe in rebirth, maybe it's work I have done before. But others were things that I also had to learn. That, the skill of perseverance, of breaking things down into baby steps, of organizing my time skillfully, of being patient. All of these are part of self-discipline, and they didn't come natural to me. I had to learn them. Some of them I figured out on my own over time, trial and error. Others through the countless books and articles, etc. that I read. Wonderful. I am in awe of the zero inbox thing. Yes. Are we going to have a practical session on this? We are at the end of the series. It's not in the book. It's part of the COPE framework. If you're a member of the Mindful Self-Discipline app, the COPE framework step-by-step course is there in the app based on the previous season. So you can do that on your own. Together, the exercises are also there. So blessed that I found. Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. Mindful warriors. Yes. Thank you, Saffron. And I have more books in me that are coming up over the years. A book is an intense project, so it takes a couple of years. Even if I start writing now, it's going to take at least 2 years before it hits the market. But there will be other books coming. My new book, though, is coming in March next year, so about 6 months away. And should I say this? Should I show this? Well, it's already on Amazon for pre-order. I am not telling everyone about this yet, but it's there on Amazon for pre-order. And the name is Wise Confidence. Wise Confidence. It's a mindfulness, awareness, and wisdom approach to developing this important skill of believing in yourself, being in your own side, living an empowered life. So let me show you. Let me see if I can do this. Just give me a moment. Maybe I can share my screen. Where are we? Here. Okay. So if you search for my name, you can see my books. And here it is, Wise Confidence. That's for pre-order. Published by Sounds True. It's only going to be available in March, but now you already know what it's about. Wise Confidence. Love the logo. Well, the logo is the peaceful lion, which is bringing together two concepts that are often not connected. I call it empowered peace. It's the anthem, the motto of my work. It's not about, power, that macho thing. It's not only about peace and letting go and flowing. It's a combination. Empowered peace. That is also in the title of this book itself, Mindful Self-Discipline. So that book is much shorter than Mindful Self-Discipline, so you'll be able to finish it sooner. And there will also be an audiobook version that I will narrate myself. I had to beg Sounds True. They say, no, we never do this. We always have professional narrators. I say, but let me narrate my book. People will prefer it this way. I got feedback from so many people. They want the book to be read by the author. You don't know where to put the emphasis, the pause, the commas, everything. Just let me read my book. And then eventually they allowed. So I'm going to record that. All right, my friends. Before we go, I would love to hear from you. What was the biggest takeaway for you today? What is one thing that you will remember, that you want to remember and apply in your daily life this week from this class? Please share it in the comments. I've been really waiting for it. Wonderful. Okay, so lots of people excited about the book. Would love to hear you being interviewed by Tammy Simon. Yes, she will. She interviews new authors. I love the blue cover with the golden lion, the royal blue background. Wonderful. Do you have this recorded so we can listen again? Yes, if you go to my YouTube channel and you go to the part on lives, it's there. Yeah, I had to push for the audio. And they say like, look, but if you record the audio, we're not going to pay you anything extra. I said, that's okay. Just let me record the audio. And eventually they did. Makes much sense to read your own book. Dedicated time blocks, focus, embracing boredom and focus, wholeheartedness. The morning routine, not now. Living my values. I want to work on not letting distractions in and keeping track of the time throughout the day. Power hour. I need to train my director and staff to honor my focus time. Yes, and that'll be better for them too. I've gotten a post-it note, not now. Wonderful. Set the timer for 15 minutes and have a doubt-free focus time. Plan admin. Pick 1 or 2 areas to focus, to cultivate focus. Embrace boredom. Time set for breaks, but not too much. After today's sessions, I'm very inspired to not get swayed by distractions. Wonderful. Time debt. Congratulations on the book. So there will be an opportunity, maybe in a couple of months, to be part of the book launch tribe. And that means that you would get a digital version of the book before everyone else, if you're willing to help promote the book when it comes out and leave a testimonial. So I will let you guys know when the time for that comes. I'll also announce in my list. So, okay, that's the first time that I showed this book to everybody. So you were among the first ones to see. So next week, we are going to cover chapter 34 of Mindful Self-Discipline on the morning routine. We will see what are the 10 tips to pay attention to be aware of, so that we implement an effective morning routine. I hope to see you all next week. Until then, stay disciplined and take care. Thank you.